Hang on to those gold teeth. Gold is now the number 2 global currency just behind the U.S. dollar. Is the paper money counterfeiting cartel about to crash to earth? Will Jerome Powell have to dust off his resume and learn to code? Since the 2008 financial crisis, central banks around the world have been buying thousands of tons of gold. In fact, 1 in 8 ounces mined was bought up by a central bank. There had been speculation as to why they are doing this, perhaps to hedge against a worldwide financial collapse that they are causing. Last year, a senior Dutch central banker actually admitted that's exactly what they're doing. Now, fresh data from the IMF says the central bank buying spree has taken gold past the euro, making gold the number 2 currency in the world just behind the U.S. dollar, going by central bank holdings. Now, this is interesting because most analyses of the dollar's future assume that some other paper currency has to dethrone King Dollar. Given that most currencies suck as bad or worse than the dollar, that gives a false sense of security. Because what if the dollar killer is staring us right in the face? Good old gold. So far, gold has now been a threat simply because it's too small. Bitcoin, of course, has that problem squared. Size matters in the currency game because smaller markets cost more to buy and sell, called transaction costs. That matters if you're an exporter or a trader, and it snowballs into a winner-takes-all result. So while gold holds its value great, in fact, it's up 8-fold since Nixon, those transaction costs keep the dollar in the game. The end result is the smart money increasingly saves in gold, but they trade in dollars. So Gresham's law in full effect. The tricky part is if transaction costs are the only thing holding up the dollar, those can disappear. Perhaps because the gold market grows sufficiently big, or perhaps some new technology like gold stablecoins that levels the transaction cost playing field. If that happens, the dollar's winner-takes-all reverses. It flips to gold. Well, at least it does for foreigners. Americans are obligated to use dollars by law. Thank you, Mr. Lincoln. If gold does dethrone the dollar, the biggest impact for regular Americans is, of course, inflation, because there are roughly twice as many dollars floating around the world that Americans need, meaning if foreigners dump dollars and switch to gold, all those dollars are coming home. Imagine a reservoir that the Fed and Wall Street have been pouring freshly printed dollars into for a century. We didn't drown because most of those dollars drained overseas. But if, all of a sudden, all those dollars come flooding back, then yes, we drown. The question then becomes just how many dollars are swimming around the world? Amazingly, nobody knows. The Fed and Treasury both estimate that most U.S. currency is overseas, which pyramids to an estimated 8 to 10 trillion, perhaps more. Those numbers imply U.S. inflation could rise by between 50 and 100% if those dollars do come flooding home. So that's next, brought to you by Unchained.com. If gold is coming for the dollar, it's not going to happen all at once. It'll probably take a decade or more, going by previous reserve currencies. But if gold does hit the tipping point, the dollar's greatest superpower, the fact that foreigners are happy to hold trillions of them, flips into the dollar's fatal defect. A new episode of the podcast just went up. Check it out at Peterson.